In the world's greatest country, in its most pivotal state, lies Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, an economic hub that's as vibrant as it is ideologically eclectic. Its just over 700,000 residents will play a critical role in deciding the course of American leadership and thereby the world. Who are the thinkers, workers, and leaders that will decide our collective fate? Join me, Moshe Kurtz, as I walk through the valley and find out. Thank you, my friends, for joining me today as I walk through the valley with Mr. Mark Pinsley, the current Controller of Lehigh County and also the Democratic Nominee for Pennsylvania State Senate District 16, covering areas of Lehigh and also Bucks County. Welcome on the show, Mr. Pinsley.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, I always ask every person who's running for office a very direct question at the beginning.
Great.
Which is, why should you serve as the next senator for State District 16?
Yeah, so I think the reason I got into this, I got into politics in 2016, and as you know, I'm Jewish, and so when Trump was talking about the Mexicans and the Muslims, that really affected me, and I felt like I needed to get involved. And so since then, I have been a commissioner of South Whitehall. I've also been the controller for the last 7 years of Lehigh County, and my goal has always been to prove that government can work for the people. And I think that if you look at some of the stuff that I've done, I've saved about $9 million in taxes or in costs rather for Lehigh County. I did work for the prisoners, showing the costs that they have for phones and how we could reduce them. I found issues with our insurance policies as well, where we save money there. And so I think those little things show that government can work for the people. And now the state senate is a larger platform for me to do the same.
Right. So I know you've, this isn't your first foray into the podcast sphere.
Yeah.
You've actually been on the New York Times, which is just like maybe a little bit more prestigious than As I Walk Through a Valley, but I think we're catching up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regarding your investigation into LVHN, Lehigh Valley Health Network.
Yeah.
I don't think we necessarily need to rehash it here, but we're very appreciative that you're joining us. Now, I do want to actually talk a little bit about your current role as controller.
Yep.
And then we'll move ahead and talk about your aspirations for the state senate.
Perfect.
So this is still kind of like a hot topic in Lehigh County right now. I believe you are the man proposing what you dubbed the wealth tax, which I'm told is technically the intangible property tax.
Yep.
We have had recently Lehigh County Commissioner Antonio Pineda on the show, who is very much opposed, along with a few others, to this proposition of yours. But before we get into the questions, just give us your pitch. What is this wealth tax that you're proposing?
Yeah, so the wealth tax, so first off, I did not propose a specific wealth tax. What I proposed was that the commissioners take a look at an alternative method of bringing in revenue, specifically so that we could reduce property tax. Because it's very likely that we're going to have a property tax increase this year. And the question is, is there an alternative method so that the middle class and the lower class or the poor don't get impacted by this as much? And really what the concept was that back in the 90s, there was a law that was created for counties where they could raise revenue through intangible property tax, as you mentioned. So those are things that are not your home. So those would be stocks, bonds that you hold individually. But what it is not, it's not your 401k, it's not your pension, it's not your home, it's not the things that most people have for their retirement. Mm-hmm. And what I suggested to them was that they go investigate that to see what would cost somebody more or less. So for example, let's say they did the investigation that I asked them to do, and they found that the wealth tax would cost 90% of the people less than a property tax increase. Mm-hmm. Well, then they should do that. Now, if they found that 90% of the people were paying more, then they shouldn't do that. It was really that simple. I asked them to go investigate this, and instead they kind of turned it into a property tax that never was.
Right.
Or excuse me, a wealth tax that never was. Yeah.
Well, I think, again, I'm not as mathematically inclined as you are. As the controller, that's kind of what you do. You make math fun.
Yeah. That's my goal.
I'm not sure that's the catchphrase, but you seem to make math fun based on what you're doing in your role as controller.
That's what I try.
So what I understood is that Commissioner Pineda and others were arguing, I think Beitler as well, and those who were part of that cohort, is that if the goal is to not impose taxes on the middle class, well, there are many folks who are in the middle class. They're not poor, but they're also not rich. And they are making a responsible financial decision to invest in mutual funds, to invest in ETFs, and basically in order so that they could find ways to grow their financials. So it seems that this tax, in their argument, seems to be punishing those who are being financially responsible. So what would be your response to that?
Well, they have no idea. Because ultimately they didn't do the investigation. So the investigation should be exactly that, which is they should go through the process of evaluating this. And then if it turns out that we are overtaxing someone, then we shouldn't do it. It's really that simple. The goal of the tax was to shift the tax. So right now, let's say we have a property tax increase. That's going to affect everyone the same, right? Because we charge everybody the same rate. And part of the problem when you're looking at people that have, let's say, a smaller home, they're already on the edge of everything. So, another increase is just hurting them. Like they may have nothing left. So the goal is to shift that away up to the upper class. And we don't know what the outcome would be because they chose not to review it.
Right. So what you're saying is the intangible property tax is a proposal, and based on what the data provides, that's what the decision should be based on.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Now, again, I did reference that you like making math fun.
Yeah.
I know that, just to speak about what you do in your free time, I don't know if this counts as free time. This is actually campaign time, I would imagine.
Yes. Yeah.
I always love alliterations. So tell us about the Pastries with Pinsley.
Yeah. So Pastries with Pinsley, it's a way for me to go meet people. So every other Saturday, sometimes Sunday, we go into a local pastry shop and set up. We call them in advance, let them know we're coming, and then we invite people to come in and meet with me. And it's really been a great time. Like we've talked about many different things. My goal there is to primarily listen, quite honestly. So go in and see what the local problems are. So in some cases, we learn about water. So specifically in Bucks County, that's a major issue down there.
What's the issue with the water?
So PFAS is one of the issues, and a lot of them have their own wells. So they're very worried about leakage into their wells and what that might cause. Also just the costs of maintaining the well.
I guess I take things for granted in Lehigh County. We have the Lehigh County Authority, and a previous guest we had on the podcast, Whitehall Commissioner Taylor Stakes.
Yep.
So he was talking all about the water in the Lehigh County Authority, so I never thought of that even being an issue. Were there any other surprising things that you learned, other than, of course, affordability being the catch-all issue that everyone's worried about?
I would say affordability is definitely the catch. I mean, they don't talk about it as affordability, quite honestly. They talk about it in terms of their specific issue. So for example, I met a woman, she and her husband have come across hard times. And one of the things that they told me was that their childcare is costing more than their mortgage.
Yeah, I could believe that. We have young kids, and thank God we get a good rate. But I mean, definitely, it's a huge challenge. I totally see that. Now, I'm curious. You go for Pastries with Pinsley. I gotta ask. This is like the question that came to my mind, which is, how is it that you're constantly going after pastries, and how do you manage also to stay healthy at the same time? What's your secrets?
So the nice thing about campaigning is you are knocking doors all the time.
That's fair.
I must do 3 miles of knocking every day. So that helps for sure. And then you try to minimize the pastry.
The thing I always wonder, I always ask candidates about when they go for door knocking. I mean, I just know that if someone random knocked on my door, I wouldn't be opening it up. Do you find people open their door and say, "Oh, I just want to have a conversation"?
There's maybe not have a conversation unless you can kind of, invite them into one. But there's still a lot of people that answer the door. I will say, like,
You know, I'm a millennial, so if I get a phone call out of nowhere, I'm just like, oh my God, it's like, did someone die? I mean, these are the things that I assume. So maybe it's just a generational thing.
it could be. I don't know. Like, it's funny. You get to meet a lot of different people on the doors. I will say, like, when I first started knocking doors years ago, I'd be like, please don't be home. Please don't be home. But then, like, you're out for 100 door. You're like, please be home. Like, why else am I out here other than to talk to people? But you know what I find is, like, most people are kind. When you get to their door, there's nothing. If they don't want to talk, they just say.
You don't get the guy with the shotgun who says, "Get off my lawn."
I had that happened one time.
Oh, for real? Like actual shotgun, just like in the movies.
Yeah, over his shoulder. Yeah.
Oh, over the shoulder, not like pointed right at you.
Yeah. But mostly people are very kind.
Wow. And so I also have to get this on the record, which is, since you're going out for pastries all the time, can we get your favorite pastry?
So I'm still a cinnamon raisin bagel guy. So yeah.
Oh, you went with bagel? Because I was like wondering if you're going to say a stereotypically Jewish food. I was going to guess rugelach. But the bagels work also. I do have to say though, I mean, I might maybe I'll lose my Jewish credibility. I've recently swapped my bagels for rice cakes as a health decision.
Yes, yeah, that's good. That's
so
good.
I don't know. Maybe people will be questioning my Jewish credentials. But speaking about food, so I want to get your thoughts on it. So you're part of the DSA. Which
I've been endorsed by DSA.
You're endorsed by the DSA. Mm-hmm. So that's the progressive left wing of the Democrat Party these days.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm following obviously what Mayor Mamdani is doing in New York City, and right now they're talking about rolling out one of his campaign promises, which is to have a city subsidized grocery store, which I believe the groceries are going to be, I forget, it's either 20 or 30% below the market rate. I'm not sure how he's going to pull it off. I mean, it would be really great if he figures out a way to do it. Yeah. But can you see measures like this working here in Lehigh and Bucks County?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it would probably likely be in Allentown. One of the interesting things about the way some people have talked about this is just that it's like, we're trying to make things free or whatever. But I think another way of looking at it is, there are people that can't afford food at all, right? So they're on SNAP, they're on something else. And instead, this is an opportunity to be able to participate in the cost, right? So instead of getting free something, you're getting something for a lesser expensive price, and hopefully you can contribute.
That's a interesting framing, meaning instead of it being a handout, people are actually coming, they're participating in the economy, they're paying for something, they just need a little bit of help getting to the finish line. That's the argument.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I guess the challenge is where does that money come from that's going to subsidize those expenses?
Yeah, and it's the same issue, but it's like, would you like to pay for all of SNAP? Right? I'm giving you everything, or you're paying for a portion of it.
Yeah, that's an interesting framework. I haven't thought of it that way. It's a good thing we sat down.
Yeah, thank you.
But I did bring up Mayor Mamdani and the DSA. So actually, right now, we are sitting here. It is August 4th, 2026.
Unbelievable.
It's not a particularly significant day in the Lehigh Valley, as far as I can tell, but it is a very significant day in Michigan.
Yes.
Where there is a Democratic Senate primary taking place between Representative Haley Stevens and Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. And this is seen as a microcosm for the greater battle for the Democratic Party. Dr. Abdul El-Sayed is, for the listeners, is representing the progressive wing. Again, I forget if he's I'm sure he's endorsed by DSA. I'm going to go out on a limb on that one. Yeah. And Haley Stevens is what you would call more the establishment Democratic pick. So first, I just, we'll get your predictions over here. We're going to find out once the episode's published. Yeah. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I think Abdul's going to win.
Yeah. Is it like wishful thinking, or is it, do you think he's actually going to win it?
No, I think he's actually going to win it. Look, he's talked a lot about healthcare, which is a major topic. Period. Healthcare is very expensive today. He believes in single payer healthcare. I happen to also believe in single payer healthcare. But like when you're out and about and you can't, one of the largest things that put us into bankruptcy is healthcare.
Huh.
Right. And so if we can change that model, I think that's really important.
Right. So to you, sitting on the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party, what do you see? What's at stake right now? What is at the center of the battle between the establishment of the Democrat Party and the progressive wing? What are you guys fighting for?
Well, I think the big thing is getting big money out of politics, right? So I think the progressives they don't want big corporations in politics at all. And they want to try and make, they want to try and make decisions without big money in politics. That's the biggest issue. Whereas the establishment has kind of embraced big money in politics as well. And I understand it, right? Because you have to fight on the ground that you're on, right? And so you have the Republicans that have big money. You need to have Democrats that have big money in order to have that actual fight. But I think what you'll find in the progressive side is our goal is to get rid of that.
So what do you think are the takeaways of the fight going on in Michigan for the Lehigh Valley right now? How would you like to see that manifest here in the Valley?
Well, I want to see Bob Brooks win. Who's our congressional candidate. I think that really what I want to see, I think healthcare is a big issue, and I think Abdul has really talked about that in a really big way. What I'm hopeful is that, as Bob goes in, I believe that he's a single payer healthcare guy as well, that he brings that to Congress and we try and move that forward so that we can, lower costs here.
Can I ask a little bit of a tough question only because you brought up the PA7 race?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think you might see where I'm going on this one. So this is not a statement about Bob Brooks. Wonderful guy. We sat down here in this very same building together. Very lovely fellow.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the mechanics behind the 7th District Congressional primary for the Democrat Party that took place.
Yeah.
In which what was interesting, and this seemed to be an anomaly from my perspective, was that the establishment of the Democrat Party on the state level, and I think even the national level, had already kind of pre-endorsed one of the primary candidates.
Yes.
So we are having a conversation now about how we want grassroots candidates. We don't want top-down or corporations or establishments picking for us. How do you square that with what's going on the federal level over here with the race for PA7?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like what happened, to be honest. I mean, I think that people should stay out of the race, right? Like, so all those major endorsements that came in.
To be explicit, the governor himself
came into the race.
Endorsement. Usually it's after the primary.
Right, which I think is the preferred way. I believe that would have been the better way for it to go down. I mean, I'm happy with Bob. I think he's going to be a great candidate. But, you had 7 people in the race at one point. And I think like your job as a candidate is to go out and talk to the local people and to try and muster support for yourself. And it gets confused when people are coming in from outside and saying, this is the person. This is the person.
Well, I think the concern, and this is what I'm hearing from people, is that the national parties and the state parties, they're looking at a broader level. They're playing a game of chess.
Yeah.
And they're asking, who do we think we could put in a position to win a race? But that's not necessarily taking into account the will of the actual voters who are on the ground. And that seems to be one of the things that's actually, part of the fight between the establishment of the Democrat Party and the grassroots and the DSA. So that's why I was thinking about that whole PA7 race when you brought it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a difficult situation. I think that to your point, like they're trying to play chess. I do think that the intent is good. Like, I don't think that there's like ill will there or anything like that.
I guess you're allowed to be strategic.
Right. Yeah, you're allowed to be strategic. But what I would say is like, we're in the position we're in, right? Because of all of this strategy, failed strategy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so affordability is a major issue, and we talk about affordability, by the way, like I really think of the affordability crisis more as a wage crisis. Right. So if you look at productivity over time, it has increased and increased and increased. And if you compare that to wages, it's flat. So how great was that? It helped the rich. It didn't help the average person.
Right. That's definitely significant. Now, just one more question, just about the Democratic Socialists.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a little bit. I'm not going to say it's a tough one because maybe you have like an easy way to answer these questions.
Yeah.
But to me, this is a very challenging issue, which is it seems that foreign policy is playing an outsized role in these upcoming debates between the establishment and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. To just not beat around the bush, the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now, I'm not here to change your opinion. We're not here to change anyone's opinions on that. But what I can't help but wonder is, and maybe help me understand this, why is it that those who are on the county level and those who are on the state level seem so concerned? And it is look, either way you slice it, there's something very significant going on in the Middle East.
Yeah. 100%.
And something, one way or the other, no matter where you stand, people are dying and something needs to be done.
Yeah.
But why is that within the purview of a county official or a state level official? And even federal officials, I could ask the question about why there's more talk about foreign policy than actual affordability, but we'll put that on the side because we're talking about your current role as a county official and aspiring to be a state senator.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I don't think it should be, quite honestly. I think that I think there's probably too much discussion below the federal level of this. But I'll tell you the reason that it ends up happening is, like, when you knock on the doors, the first thing that they're asking you about is federal issues, right? Like, they don't recognize the difference between federal, state, county, municipal, right? Like, to them, it's sort of all one government.
You're either on the blue team or the red team.
Yeah, well, there's that for sure, right? But it's also, I have to have my my leaves cleaned up. Who does that? Oh, right, like. Oh, it's your municipal government. Oh, well, who deals with, school taxes? Oh, well, it's like 3 different governments.
Right.
Right. Like, so people in general don't really necessarily make the distinction between the different levels of government and what they do. And so when you're at the door, they're going to talk to you about what they just saw on TV.
So when you're knocking on the door, people are asking you about, Israel, Palestine, and foreign policy. Like, that's what's top of mind for Lehigh and Bucks County voters?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on whose door I knock on, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious, why do you think the foreign policy issues are top of mind for these voters? I would imagine what we were just talking about in terms of housing affordability, food insecurity. I would think those issues for your typical voter are top of mind. But you're the one doing the door knocking, so you have a better sense. Why do you think the foreign policy things are top of mind for people?
I just think it's a level of frustration overall.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's just one thing. I think it also depends on what your heritage is as well.
Right.
So I'm more likely to be asked by a Jewish person or a Muslim about that issue than somebody else randomly, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get away from the Jewish or the Muslim, it is much more likely that it's going to be about cost of something.
Yeah.
Right. My mortgage, my rent, my whatever. Electricity is a big issue right now, like with the data centers in particular. The number one thing I hear on the doors is data centers.
Oh yeah, well, data centers, yes, that seems to be. It's like you want to scare somebody. It's like whisper data centers.
That's right.
It's the boogeyman right now.
Yeah.
Well, the fascinating thing with data centers is that it seems that, from what I'm reading, you could maybe I'm being conspiracy theorist over here.
Yeah.
It seems that it's in China and Russia and all of our adversaries' interests that we don't have a data center infrastructure. So on the one hand, I'm very sympathetic. Like, personally, I'm guilty of being a NIMBY also. I don't want a data center in my backyard for a variety of reasons.
Yep.
But I also understand that they need to go somewhere. And if America doesn't have that kind of infrastructure, how are we supposed to compete with our adversaries on a national stage? So, can you help us understand where you stand on the data centers?
Yeah, I think data centers mostly just need regulation more than anything else. And they may need to have a size issue here as well. So right here in our local community, there is going to be there may be a massive data center that's the size of 88 football fields.
Oh.
Right, that's massive.
I don't think I can even fathom how big that is.
It's massive. It's
wow.
massive. And so when you think about all of the things that you need to take care of that, right, including the amount of fuel that you'll need should electricity go down, that's a fire hazard at the very least, right? There's some major issues going on there.
Why can't they just build in some desert in the middle of America? I don't quite understand why they can't go where
they're trying
open land.
They're trying to do that too.
Okay.
Right. So it really is everywhere. One of the reasons that they've come into Pennsylvania is because Pennsylvania offers basically a tax incentive, which is anything that you're putting on the inside of the data center. So all of those computers, you don't pay our 6% sales tax on.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so I think they estimate by 2030, it's going to be over $1 billion worth of saved money for the data centers.
So isn't that something that the governor could change?
The governor and the state senate and the House, absolutely. And
the state senate, what are so you know, actually this is a good question, which is, you know, we kind of covered your philosophy a little bit on a high level, but what kind of legislation would you hope to be helping pass should you be elected to the state senate?
Well, that would be one of them. I would get rid of that 6% you know, tax benefit, right? Like that just should not be. I mean, like, and not only that, but you could end up using that for fortifying the grid, right? So like right now, as Lehigh County Controller, I know that we pay an additional 55% for the government's electricity. So the buildings that we have, our electricity bill has gone up 55% over the last 4 years. So that's nearly $1 million. Like, you know, when you think about that, you're paying for that, I'm paying for that as taxpayer, beyond the fact that we're paying for our own electrical cost increase. But we're also paying for the school's electricity increase going up, for your municipality's increase going up. So every government agency, you're paying for that fortification. And right now, that's not even cost of electricity. That's just the delivery of the electricity.
Oh, wow.
So that means like when they're building a substation, they charge us for it. When they put up new wires, they charge us for it. So those are massive costs.
Do you find, is there enough of a progressive cohort, even in the Democrat Party, that's willing to take on the Democrat establishment on the data centers issue?
Well, I think everyone, the Republicans and the Democrats, are mostly on the same side here.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's stopping us?
You know, so the issue is, so the way that our structure works here in Pennsylvania is the state has a lot of power. The municipalities have a lot of power. The county doesn't have as much power. So the municipalities have to create their own rules. And like, if you've already had somebody come in and they've bought land and they've done all this stuff, it's too late to change.
Right. So as a controller, you don't get to control that much.
Correct.
Ironically.
That's right. Exactly.
Can I ask just one more question about about your career as controller?
Sure.
All right. Okay. So this relates to ICE.
Yeah.
So I know that you partnered together with County Executive Josh Siegel, who had on the podcast previously.
Oh,
I'm still proud of the title for that episode. We called it Call of Duty Modern Mandate.
Oh, very nice.
We talked about, we're like the same age, so we're talking about like video games that we grew up with.
Gotcha, yeah.
But on a more serious note, so there was an eviction of ICE in Lehigh County. And if I remember, and we're actually going to have him on the podcast soon, so District Attorney Gavin Holohan and others critiqued it because it was, in their perception, I'll let you respond, it was throwing out the baby with the bathwater, that there's an element of ICE that actually handles, you know, sexual predators and sex trafficking. And once ICE was being evicted, those capacities were also lost. So that was the criticism. I'm curious how you would respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, so first off, it wasn't lost. They were just kicked out of our building, right? So they got to be wherever the new place was, and they hadn't paid their bill in 3 years. So
okay, that's a good point.
You know, like anybody staying anywhere for 3 years without paying.
No squatters' rights?
No, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I think also like one of the things to look at is like, so they do talk about sexual assault. You know, those that are sexually assaulted oftentimes are immigrants as well. Right. And so one of my beliefs is that, you know, from our standpoint, from the county standpoint, we should be looking at everybody as residents rather than citizens. And the reason that we should be doing that is because we want everyone to feel comfortable coming to us for whatever their reason is. So let's imagine that, you know, you were robbed and an immigrant saw that happen. Well, right now they would not want to come and report it, right? Because they have fear. We want them to be treated as a resident so that they would come and report that.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that's how I view it. And like, if you have some of those scary to them people in your building, does it say that we're on their side, or does it just say we're on the federal government side? I think that we should be, you know, we should be on neither side, right? We should be.
Right. Now, I know you're on the progressive wing. At the same time, you strike me as a very practical person. So
thanks,
I'm forgetting, I wish I could give her a shout out. Maybe you'll remember the name, but one of the women who was endorsed by Mayor Mamdani in the recent congressional primaries in the New York area, she made a statement which went something along the lines of, you know, we live on stolen land, therefore everybody is illegal, which means everybody is legal, therefore there should be no borders. That was kind of how the argument went. And is that considered like the mainstream opinion of DSA endorsed candidates?
Not that I'm aware of, certainly not my opinion.
Okay. So you think like there should be, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You think there should be borders? You think there should be like, you know, actual like a distinction between a citizen versus someone coming in illegally? I mean, just what's your philosophy?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there should be that distinction. It's just really a matter of how we treat people as they're coming over, right? Like, so like my concern right now is like, so as people come in, what's the process? And that changes from president to president. And that's what's wrong, right? Like we need to have a very, process that can be trusted regardless of who the president is,
right?
So that as someone comes in, they know the process, they adhere to it or they don't, as the case may be.
Right. It should just be like, which way is the wind blowing this day?
Correct. Exactly.
I get that. There should be stability in terms of policy. Okay, we're gonna get to our final round. This is our final round of questions. Okay, here's a light one. So, Mr. Pinsley, when you somehow are not officially campaigning and not officially working and maybe have a little bit of free time, what do you enjoy doing around the Lehigh Valley?
Oh, so I like to go out on date night with my wife, typically, which is like some time I put aside.
Give us some tips. Where should we be going?
Yeah, I like Faux Nominal, which is not too far from here. Faux Nominal is a really good restaurant that I really enjoy. We've gone to Nowhere Coffee. It's a good, nice place around here as well.
I live right around the corner. I'm on Cedar Crest. So
so you go there.
I go there quite often. Yes.
Yeah, they've got a great place. I don't know. Like I like to travel. We get to see the different restaurants in the area. We also like to go, like if we can, like do a picnic somewhere or something like that.
Well, that's good. I need to get more tips because this past summer, we actually figured out the ultimate thing to do was my wife works for Allentown School District.
Oh, yeah.
And I took some vacation time in July. So we would drop off the kids at camp at 9 a.m. in the morning and pick them up at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And that basically gave us the better part of the day to do traveling in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
So we went up to the number 9 coal mine in Lancer, Pennsylvania. We did Jim Thorpe because, of course, why can't, you got to do Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
So we went on the scenic railway. I think we need to go in the full time because it was nice, but I think the full would have been much better. We went down to Doylestown, and I think if like the rabbi thing doesn't work out for me, I could be a good tour guide for that's what I've learned. But I'm always open for some date night suggestions, so I'll turn back to you on that one. Okay, here's a bit of a harder question.
Sure.
Which is, you're in the media a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a week that your name doesn't get mentioned somewhere in the Morning Call or WFMZ. And that means that you're prone to people seeing you only as a soundbite and maybe misunderstanding Mark Pinsley as a person. So what do you think people misunderstand about you that if they were to spend like we are, 30, 40 minutes together, they would appreciate?
Yeah, probably people don't know why I've run for different offices. And so I've gotten some negative comments on that in particular. And I think it comes back to what I was saying to you in the beginning. My goal is to show people that government can work for the people. And that's what I'm really been focused on. I'm in my 50s, so I'm not a young guy coming out of school and this was going to be my career.
Right.
This is I am trying to make the world better, or even not the world, our little piece of the world better, for myself and my family and for all of you guys. And I think that the way we do that is that we prove that government can work for the people. And I'm only one guy, I realize that, but if there's a bunch of people like me, each one of us will try and make that true.
Well said.
Thank you.
And now this is the question that tends to stump a lot of political candidates who come on. So we're going to see how you manage with this one, which is, I'd like you to tell us, I know you disagree a lot with the right, with Republicans, with the red team. But is there one thing looking at the other side of the aisle that you could identify that you admire about them?
Yeah, I don't know that there's only one thing, quite honestly.
Oh, wow, you're going the opposite direction. Okay, you know what? You can have as many as you want.
So I was on a board of South Whitehall, and I was with 4 Republicans and myself. And we all got along. Right? Because at the end of the day, we all do want the same thing or many of the same things, right? We want our children to be taken care of. We want our family to be healthy. We want to have money in our pockets so that we can go spend it, and from that perspective, I learn from them. They just think slightly different than I do. And so I think that they add value to for me anyway, and to how to think a little bit differently, how to come at things a little bit differently. So I enjoy their thought process.
Yeah. I think we need to hear more of that. That's great. And we just passed the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
Yeah.
As the final question, I'd love for you to share, what does that mean to you?
I mean, we got to fight harder to be one country, is what I think it means. We've made it 250 years, and I hope that we can make it another 250 years. Certainly right now, what we see is just a lot of division, and a lot of, I don't even want to say that we're unwilling to talk to each other, because sometimes I think we are willing to talk, but we're not willing to listen, and then maybe compromise on whatever that looks like. So I think we have a fight ahead of us, a fight to bring us together, rather than pulling us apart.
Well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Controller Mark Pinsley, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining me as I walk through the valley.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me as I walk through the valley. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and subscribe to our show. If you have questions or would like to book a live recording or have a speaking request, please email rabbi@sonsofisrael.net. This is Moshe Kurtz. I look forward to having you join me next time as I walk through the valley.